Good afternoon, and welcome to the September 14th, 2016 Legal and Finance Committee meeting. We will start with roll call and determination of quorum. Here. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Against? Passes. General public comment. We'll move on to general public comment. I don't have any in front of me, so I will open it and I will close it. And then we will go to consent items, item 1 through 11, and I will open public comment on that. And I don't see anybody that possibly wants to speak, so I will close that. And I will ask for a motion on items 1 through 11 unless someone on this committee wants to pull. Do you have anything you want to pull? Okay. Nobody does. So we have a motion. Motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Consent items 1 through 11 are approved. We will go on to non-consent items, and I will open a public comment, and I don't have anybody that wants to speak, so I will close public comment. And we will go to community planning and development, item 12, second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6104, an ordinance to amend certain provisions in the Rapid City Plumbing Code by amending chapter 15.24 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Second. We've got a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 13, second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6105, an ordinance to amend certain provisions in the Rapid City Electrical Code by amending section 15.16.02 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Have a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 14, second reading and recommendation of ordinance 6106, an ordinance to amend certain provisions regarding contractors' licenses by amending section 15.04.140 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Have a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. From the Finance Department, item 15, second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6137 regarding supplemental appropriation number 3 for 2016. And Alderwoman Scott, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I ask Pauline Sumption a question, please?
Yes, you may.
Pauline, do you have a total that the supplemental appropriation changed from the first reading to the second reading?
Not in total, I do not.
Rough? I believe the last figure I heard was over 10 million.
Hang on a second, I'll pull it up.
And while she's pulling that up, you know, the state recently changed the rules that if there's what the state considers a significant change, but I was looking, and Wade Neidberg is here, but Joel Landine had answered my question as far as what a significant would be. And basically Joel said that if the council decided to change something after it was posted would be a significant change. So in his opinion, just because the amount changed from the first reading to the second reading, this was well published and the attachments contained all the changes, so it was well noticed. So we don't have to consider redoing a first reading and then a second reading. We can go ahead and continue with our second reading. And I'm just looking to Wade. Is that the correct understanding, Wade?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Yes, that's correct. The new state law is really aimed at changing something right before or right at second reading without any public notice. So that's correct.
So we should be good to go. Pauline, did that give you enough time?
Just about. This is a little slow today. It went from 11,710,000 approximately to 30,067,000, so it went up about 19 million, 18 million.
But the majority of those are the CIP funds that are typical for us to carry over in a supplemental. Is that my understanding?
That is correct. The addition, I believe there's about 15 million additional in CIP carryover than what was in the first reading. And then there's others that were the utility support fund, which we budget for every year as far as in the 5-year plan with the utility support. But when Public Works is ready to go out and start working on the projects, we transfer those over for those individual things.
So if they hadn't been added between the first and second reading at this time, they would just be in the next supplemental because it's normal city business to go ahead and process these carryovers.
Correct.
Thank you. I yield the floor.
Alderman Wright, you have the floor.
Just to clarify that, when you said it's CIP money, is that the half-cent CIP money, or is it all the capital improvements money, funding, like federal highway money and that kind of stuff?
Some of it is federal highway money. There was originally 6 million already in the supplement.
Right.
But there's additional, I think it was 2 million. I can't remember off the top of my head. The original supplement had 11 million of STP funds.
Okay.
Those are still in there. In the additional one, it is not. But so it's that funding source in addition to the half-cent CIP account.
For clarification, I think sometime we need to clarify, when we're talking about capital improvements, the terminology that we use, because funding is, on the half-cent CIP is one thing, and capital improvements funding from federal highway or other things or something else. I think we need to get that straightened out, just so everybody understands it. But thank you. I have no problem with what's going on.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 16, item from the City Attorney's Office, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6138, an ordinance amending the code enforcement appeal procedure by repealing Chapter 8.01 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, adopting Section 2.24.065 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, and amending Sections 2.24.020 and 8.16.050 and 10.56.060 and 10.56.065 of the Rapid City Municipal Code.
So moved.
And Alderwoman Scott, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, Mr. Barbier is not here, but may I pose a question to Wade Neidberg as just kind of a philosophy question?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Wade, this one will actually change the procedure and get rid of the Board of Appeals board and make the decisions on code enforcement more administratively, but the final recourse is to bring it before City Council. In your opinion, it's kind of my opinion, so I'm throwing it at you. In your opinion, if the City Council stays firm to the code enforcement as it has been implemented in the past, do you foresee a lot of people bringing their cases past the administrative decision to the City Council?
I guess my gut feeling would be that you might see a few to start with, but if you, I guess, hold firm to what the code is, I think those would probably not come to council as often.
Because it really appears to me that what we've seen over the last couple years, and I'm just reviewing what we've seen, is they're repeat. It's really not a lot of new ones, and I would foresee that if the City Council was going to hear from someone new, it would be someone, that's never been on the list before. But what's come before City Council a lot of times, just what we've seen on the assessment and stuff, is repeat code enforcement issues. And I believe we would still get those same reports. Is that your understanding of what's going to happen? Is administratively we would still get the past history on a property?
Yes, and this is really the Code Enforcement Board of Appeals. I don't know how long it's been since they've met, but we've just not gotten very many appeals in the last couple of years. You're still the authority on assessments, so that's why those would still continue here regardless of this board. So this is more of a consolidation. It's a board that hasn't met very often at all.
All right, thank you, Wade. I am in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe we have a motion on the board to approve? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 17, second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6139, an ordinance to clarify requirements for installation of sidewalks by amending Chapter 12.08 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. We have a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 18, direction to staff regarding master development agreement and all addendums thereto, including the contract for private development for TID 73 with President's Plaza LLC.
Make a motion to go to council.
Mr. Lorente, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And if I can, I'd like to ask the Attorney's Office a question, please.
Yes, you may.
Joel, on this particular issue, I'd hope that we could render a recommendation. I'm hoping we still can, since that's what we do here in Legal and Finance. My question to you is, if we were to sever the agreement and there was some direction in here about the direction that would be given to staff, what is staff looking for as far as direction if the recommendation is to end the agreement, to terminate the developer's agreement?
I think if you just take action, if the council on Monday night takes action to terminate the agreement, that it's your desire to terminate the agreement, then our office would draft a written letter to President's Plaza LLC indicating the council has taken action to terminate the agreement and that legally the agreements are terminated. And at that point, we would probably need to start to regroup and decide how we want to move forward with that parcel of land and parking ramp.
One last question for you. There wasn't any staff recommendation. Can you elaborate or expound on that a bit?
Well, I mean, the agreements make it optional. It doesn't, the agreement didn't automatically terminate on July 1st when the 6 months had expired. It's really a policy decision for the mayor and the council to make whether they want to see that agreement terminated. You are not required to terminate this agreement at this point until they start performing under it. However, they have not met the deadlines and you have an option to terminate the agreement. Because it's now several months past when the deadline is, I think it's an appropriate time to bring it in front of the council and get your input on whether or not you want to terminate that agreement at this point. If you choose not to, then the agreement would continue into effect until either you did decide to terminate it or until they started to perform under the agreement. If they did start to perform, at that point we'd have to take a look at it, and it would probably limit your ability to terminate the agreement once anything occurred, any construction or any other additional activities by President's Plaza LLC.
So, because of these answers, I'm getting more questions. So, based on the fact, because you're saying that if they start doing something, however, wouldn't we be able to terminate the agreement based on the deadlines that have already been missed?
Right. That's why this is in front of you. I believe under the agreements, you have the right now to terminate the agreement because per the terms, they needed to be under construction within 6 months of December 31st. So as soon as we hit that deadline, you had the option to terminate. Right. However, you're not required to terminate it.
Correct.
But if you don't terminate it now, and then 3 months from now it's just out there, and 3 months from now additional actions are taken, and then you decide, well, wait a minute, we've thought about it again and we want to terminate it, but they've taken actions, it's going to become more difficult because either then they're going to argue that they're performing under it and we've given up our right to terminate it, or they're going to potentially have a damages claim for any items expended in reliance on that.
Right. All right. Very good. Thank you. And I'm in support of severing this. I think I have heard grumblings about other developers wanting a shot at this particular, and I honestly, and I think most of the council, if you've been here any amount of time or have been in tune with, like many of the citizens, these developers have had a long time to do something there, and I believe we can do something that will begin to move that property back to the tax, back to being taxed. And so I'm hoping there'll be a different motion, and I'll support to terminate the current developers agreement. Thank you.
Councilwoman Scott, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to make the recommendation to City Council that we terminate all agreements.
Second.
And the reason is I know ever since I've been on City Council, we have worked with President's Plaza, and I believe even they have worked very diligently and very hard in order to try to make this work. But they have conducted market study after market study after market study, and our economic development in the downtown has changed so much that I think they're even at a loss of trying to come up with a workable plan at this point. So I'm in favor of, they didn't meet their deadlines. We even separated out the parking from their project. We were trying to work with them and give them every advantage to proceed on this project. And they just have not been able to do it. I think it's time to terminate this so we can start from scratch. Thank you.
Councilman Wright, you have the floor.
Certainly, my intent was not to not have debate about it, but I was trying to keep it from occurring twice. But I think this is a very significant issue that's been before us for a number of years. It's before the council, before our time. And I think that it's important that the comments made by all of us are heard by all of us, and that's why I was encouraging it to go to Monday night. I have no problem whatsoever with discussing it, and I'll support the current, actually, I think I'll vote against it so it's not on the consent calendar. Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Motion, one opposed. Two opposed. So, Wright and Roberts. So, motion passes. That's what I was waiting for. We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.